What's up, everybody? We are live breaking down this UFC Vegas 6 card, and it's going to be a good one. We have 12 fights. Last week was pretty terrible. The card really fell apart. We ended up only having 8 fights on that card. But as far as I'm concerned, we have all 12 here, ready to make some money, ready to get back into it. I have 4 bets for you guys today that we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about other bets throughout the card that I'm potentially looking at, and also some DraftKings as well. But with that said, we're going to start by getting into the first fight here. As always, you guys can ask questions anytime throughout the stream. Just try to make it about the fight that we're going over at the time. But yeah, let's get started here. All right, so Rivera versus Al-Qaisi. So Rivera is minus 170 and Al-Qaisi is plus 160. So Rivera opened up as like a minus 210 favorite, and I think people started to kind of watch the tape and see that this Al-Qaisi dude, he has a path to victory. He is not the most skilled fighter by any means. Like, his stand-up's pretty poor. If this fight was, standing up the whole time, that's when Rivera would look like a minus 210 favorite, minus 250 favorite. But, because Al-Qaisi has that good ground game, I think he can get him down at some points and maybe win a decision here. So this fight is really tough to call. It's a fight that I'm going to be passing on from a betting perspective, but I do think it's dog or pass for sure. And watching tape on Al-Qaisi, he has some very good takedowns, some very good trips. He looks like a very strong guy, and I have seen Rivera taken down plenty of times and held down for a whole round before. So, I think Al-Qaisi can get him down a couple times. I feel like this is going to be a very close decision. Maybe Al-Qaisi gets him down maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 times, but on the feet, Rivera's looking really good on the feet. So I don't know. It's a very close fight. I think it should be closer to a pick'em. So as for DraftKings, I don't hate the 7,300 for Al-Qaisi. It's the first fight of the night. And you guys know how I feel about that. Like, it somewhat, I don't know what it is, but it always seems to end up on the optimal lineup. And Al-Qaisi at 7,300, if he does get maybe 5 takedowns, maybe a couple advances, wins a decision, it could be enough to get on the optimal lineup there. And on the flip side, Rivera at 8,900, if he gets a knockout, which he's capable of getting a knockout, maybe it's enough to get on the optimal lineup. So Al-Qaisi has never been knocked out. Al-Qaisi has been submitted once, and Rivera has never been submitted. He's been knocked out once. So the pick here is Al-Qaisi, probably by decision. He has a pretty good submission game as well, but just not sure he's going to be able to submit Rivera. But as for DraftKings, we're going to have maybe 20-25% Al-Qaisi on DraftKings, maybe like 15% 20 Rivera. I don't want to go all in on this fight because honestly, it could potentially bust here, but it is a fight I am interested in targeting here. So we will hit at the chat here. What's up, Bufo? What's up, Chris? What's up, Jack? What's up, Stellar? What's up, Dave? What's up, Dak? What's up, Danny? Good takedowns versus good get-ups. Yeah, Rivera does have a good get-up game, and Al-Qaisi's control on the ground, his top control isn't very good. So I can see maybe multiple takedowns if Rivera gets up, maybe Matt returning him, and those equals points on DraftKings. So definitely something I'm looking at there. Rivera doesn't have good takedown defense. No, I've seen him taken down a bunch of times by a lot of low-level guys. So from what I've seen, Al-Qaisi does have some good takedowns, so I think he can get him down. You think Lewis will score well? He has in his past few fights. We will get to that towards the end here, but probably not. What's up, Roland? Out of this card, why did Cody G get a title shot? I am not sure. So they opened up the line. I think Figueiredo like minus 210 might be something to look at there. I'm not too sure why they gave it to him, but I mean, it's something I'm interested in watching, but I don't really think he deserved it. So with that said, I have a couple bets coming up on this next fight. So as always, I'll be posting my bets on Twitter, DFS_numbers. I'm also on Instagram now, DFS by the numbers. You can follow me on there. My DMs are always open for any questions you guys have. But yeah, I have a couple plays here with involving Zalal. So Yusuf Zalal, he is minus 445, and Peter Barrett, he is plus 395. I like Zalal a ton in this matchup. It's a very good matchup for him. Barrett, what he's good at is he's a very good wrestler. He's very scrappy, but I don't think he wants to take down Zalal in this matchup. Zalal has a very good BJJ game. And the thing about Barrett is I've seen him put in so many bad spots in so many fights. I've seen him get into really deep arm bars, really deep guillotines that he just barely got out of. And that's not going to slide against Yusuf Zalal. So I think Zalal is going to finish him here. I'm assuming by submission, but he also can knock him out as well. And I just really like him in this fight. So he is the first leg of my 2-fighter parlay. That parlay is -110. It's with another fighter later up on the card that I'll talk about, but he is the first leg of that parlay, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. Of course, I parlayed him when he was like, I want to say like -375 around that area, but I mean, he's still parlayable. I think he's going to win it at -445 here. And then I also have Zalal inside the distance for 1 unit on that, and that is +130. So I think we're getting a lot of value with that +130 for Zalal to win inside the distance. Barrett has been finished twice by submission, by lower level competition. He's been knocked out once. And I really see Zalal getting a finish here. I think he wants to come in here. He hasn't got a finish yet in the UFC. This is the spot to do it. I think he takes Barrett down. Barrett has awful takedown defense, or even Barrett takes him down, gets guillotined, something like that. I could definitely see a submission happening. So a submission is +385. It was like +600 like a couple days ago. I just went with the inside the distance line at +130. I like that line there. So overall, I have a total of 3 units, risking 3 units total on Zalal. And, I really do like this play a lot. As for DraftKings, 9,300, probably like one of my top 3 plays. I think it's safe. I like it in cash. I think there's upside. I think he can get a finish, maybe a submission, maybe a knockout. And at 9,300, if he's getting multiple takedowns, if he's getting multiple advances and a finish, I think he's going to pay off that price tag and more. So I do like Zalal, looking at him a lot in DraftKings. Have 2 bets on him. And yeah, not really impressed with this Barrett kid. I think he's probably going to get finished here. Nasty guillotine. People put your parlays on. Let's see it. I don't see a pick here where I have a really strong lean like Chimaev, Luque, Jan. Do you have someone you're leaning 90% to not only win but really score high? Yeah, it's probably Zalal. Even Holland is a big favorite. I'm probably not 90% on Holland winning and scoring well on DraftKings, but we'll get to that pretty soon here. But Zalal would pretty much be the only one where I'm like 90% he's going to score well, 90% he's going to win. Zalal inside the distance for sure, probably a second round submission. Yeah, I like that bet quite a bit. +130. He's a -450 favorite. We're getting a lot of value on that inside the distance line there. Zalal, Dariush, Stewart. All right, so we're going to get into the next fight here. And just want to remind you guys that I will be going live on Odds HQ at 9 p.m. Eastern time, just further breaking down the card with a couple of guys, Mo, Boston Nick, and MMA Prediction Guru, I believe. So if you guys want, check that out as well. Going to be a lot of great information on there also. So next we got Gavin Tucker versus Justin Jaynes. Tucker is a -125 favorite, and Jaynes is a +105 underdog. So this was a potential bet I was looking at, but Jaynes is like +170 when it first opened. So I really did miss out on that line by the time I did my tape study. And at this point, I'm probably not going to play it. But if you want to take a shot on Jaynes, I like it quite a bit. This dude hits very hard. He has 9 first-round finishes. The thing is, Tucker has never been knocked out, but also he hasn't fought the best competition as well. I think Jaynes might be the first person to knock out Tucker here. From a DraftKings perspective, 7,800 for Jaynes. I like it quite a bit. He's going to do what we want in a DraftKings play. He's going to come out here trying to get the finish. And at 7,800, I think it's worth a shot to, play a decent amount of Jaynes and, hoping he does get that finish and hoping he gets early there. So I do like Justin Jaynes in the spot. As for Gavin Tucker, I don't really see him getting takedowns. Jaynes has, a pretty good wrestling background. I don't really see, Tucker putting all that much volume on Jaynes. I don't think Tucker's the best finisher as well. So don't really see me playing much Tucker on DraftKings at 8,400. If you want to play some, you can, but I just don't think the upside's really there. Maybe he gets a late finish in the 3rd round, but my preferred play here is for sure Jaynes. The upside's there. I am picking him to win. Looking at the lines here, odds to finish +250 for Jaynes. I don't hate that. +265 by knockout. Again, don't hate that. Might even look at the Jaynes in round 1 as well. But for now, it's going to be a pass. I would have liked to get him at like +170. But what can you do? People did. A lot of people are on Jaynes this week, and I can definitely see why. So the pick is Jaynes. Probably not going to bet it. He looked pretty good at weigh-ins. This is his first fight at 145. The lowest he's ever weighed in was like 149 in a catchweight bout. So he looks good on the scales. Everything's looking good for this play, and I do like him quite a bit on DraftKings. I can see Zalal winning head kick KO. That'd be nice there. Turner looked good at weigh-ins, but I wanted to bet Jaynes. Yeah, they both look pretty good. Hey, Brady, how do we use your optimizer on your spreadsheet? Hit me up on Patreon. I'll send you the link on how to set that up, or hit me up on Twitter. I'll get you the link there. Jaynes looked okay on the scales. Does Jaynes always go for broke the way he did? I mean, not always, but that's what I've seen mostly. He tries to get these early finishes, and probably expecting that here against Tucker. Jaynes has a huge head. Should I go Jaynes by KO plus 325 in my book, or just bet him straight? I mean, I think he wins by knockout, but of course there is that chance that he wins by decision. Tucker has never been finished, so we got to give him that. But plus 325 is a good number if you can get that at your book. All right, and I'm also thinking about doing a short video on Saturdays from now on, going over, the best bets for each fight and going over my bets. And kind of a condensed version of this video and like a 10-minute version. So just let me know what you guys think of that idea. Probably like 10, 15 minutes, just going fight by fight, telling you guys what I think the best bet is. And I might do that starting on Saturday, tomorrow. But we'll get into the next fight here. And this is a fight I'm not too interested in from a DraftKings perspective, but I do have a bet on this fight. Wellington Turman is a minus 140 favorite, and Andrew Sanchez is a plus 130 underdog. And I like Andrew Sanchez a lot in this fight. I just think it's a bad stylistic matchup for Turman. So looking at Turman, I mean, he's all right on the feet, but we got to give the advantage to Sanchez on the feet. And what Turman needs to do is get this fight to the ground to win, in my opinion. And Sanchez has 100% takedown defense. He's never been taken down. He's a great wrestler. I just don't think that Turman's going to be able to get him down. So stylistically, I really like this matchup for Sanchez, and I really don't agree with the line here. I think it should be, closer to a pick'em, or even Sanchez the slight favorite because of that stylistic matchup. So I put 1 unit on Sanchez at plus 130. I believe the line was like plus 140 earlier in the week. I could have got that, but I'm comfortable with the plus 130. I like that quite a bit. You can also, by decision plus 205 if you want to get a little more value on Sanchez. But I'm just finding a hard time finding a path to victory for Turman. He's not going to knock out Sanchez. I don't see him getting him down. If he gets him down, maybe he can work his BJJ, but Sanchez has a good BJJ game himself. But Sanchez has been knocked out 3 times. Sanchez has never been submitted in his career. Turman's never been finished. I see this going to decision for sure. If you want to maybe parlay the fight goes to decision line, it's probably like minus 230, something like that. That's decent as well. But I just like Sanchez a lot in this fight. As for DraftKings, 7,700. If Sanchez wins, it's probably going to be like 75 points, 80 points. Is that going to be enough to get on the optimal lineup? On most weeks, probably not. But it's a decent underdog play. I'm personally not going to have too much in this fight. This fight is probably going to be my lowest owned fight on the card. Maybe Turman gets Sanchez down. Maybe he submits him. I just don't really think that's likely to happen. The odds for Turman by submission is plus 685. The thing I was also looking at is maybe a hedge on the Sanchez bet for Turman in the third round, because Sanchez gets very tired in the third round. Maybe Turman gets him out of there in that third round. So I was thinking about a hedge just like plus 1,500 if you want to take a shot on Turman. Third round plus 1,500, I think that's the path to victory. But overall, I see Sanchez winning those first 2 rounds, and I see the third round probably being a little sketchy, but I think he's going to pull it off and win a decision there. So that's my third bet of the night. Sanchez 1 unit plus 130. I like that quite a bit. I think there's a lot of value there. Yeah, it'll be pretty close. I just think Sanchez is better on the feet overall. Decision, yep. Don't see it finishing. Sanchez by decision. I picked Jaynes there. Turman looks like he has worse cardio than Sanchez and doesn't wear punches well. I could see a second round KO. Yeah. Sanchez doesn't really have that power, but you're right. Maybe it can happen. Yeah, Sanchez is the veteran. He's going to have a veteran experience on Turman for sure. So, yeah, I think he can win this fight as long as he does not get taken down. And honestly, I'm struggling to see Turman really take him down. If Turman can get him down, maybe he can work some BJJ and win a close decision or even submit him. But I just think that's pretty unlikely there. All right, so moving on here, Nasrat Haqparast versus Alex Munoz. Now, Haqparast is minus 235. Munoz is plus 215. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 105. So I like Haqparast in this fight quite a bit. I see some love for Munoz, and I can understand why. He has very good takedowns. But the thing is, Haqparast has a very good get-up game. I do think Munoz will get Haqparast down maybe a couple times in this fight, but Munoz doesn't have the best top control. I really don't see him controlling Haqparast for long periods of time. And I just think Haqparast is the better fighter by a decent margin here. When this is on the feet, and I think it'll play out on the feet most of the time, like Haqparast is, levels above Munoz on the feet. So I do think Haqparast wins. I think he's going to win by knockout. Plus 160, Haqparast by knockout. Plus 155, you might as well just take that. Haqparast inside the distance is the line I'm looking at. Haven't bet it yet. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I might take a shot on that. Haqparast minus 235. I think that's a fair line. I think he should be a big favorite. Really struggling to see Munoz win. If he wins, it's probably going to be with takedowns. So we got to take that into account. So on DraftKings 7,200, if Munoz is getting him down a couple times, maybe 5-6 times, it's 30 points right there. Winning a decision. Maybe he pays off that price tag right there. So Munoz is someone I'm looking at on DraftKings for like a pump play, but not going to have too much. I do think Haqparast knocks him out. And at 9,000, that I do like him a lot at 9,000 there. I think he knocks him out maybe first, second round there. I just think he's the striking. I think in striking, he's levels above Munoz, and that's where it's probably going to play out most of the time. But if you want to take a shot on Munoz, I don't hate it. Plus 315 by decision, plus 215. You're getting some good underdog odds there. He does have a path to victory, getting the takedowns. But when it's on the feet, it's Haqparast all day. And I'm assuming, Haqparast has been, working on his takedown defense, working on his ground game this camp for this fight, preparing for Munoz. And I'm sure he's going to be ready to stuff those takedowns. All right. Yeah, Sanchez is the better wrestler by a decent amount. Munoz on the alpha male sauce. Nasrat by KO. I like it. Kelvin Gastelum Jr. by KO. I like that as well. I think he probably knocks him out. So it's a very, a play I'm looking really hard at on DraftKings. You think Nasrat, Haqparast, Holland parlay minus 147 is a good play. I wouldn't parlay Holland this week. The odds are just really wide. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but minus 147, I don't really like that. Feeling confident in Nasrat. Yeah, I do like him quite a bit to win this fight. Maybe get him in a parlay with somebody, but we'll have to see. All right, so we're going to get to the next fight here. Laureano Staropoli versus Tim Means. And this is a fight I've been flipping back and forth on. This is such a tough fight. Lots of question marks surrounding Tim Means with his durability, his chin. So he got knocked out by Nico Price 3 fights ago, for the first time in his career. And that really caught me off guard because, Tim Means is someone who is, usually very durable. But, Nico Price went out there and knocked him out. And then we saw his last fight with Daniel Rodriguez. Rodriguez, hurt him like 3 times. That's so concerning. But the thing is, Staropoli isn't really a power puncher. He's more of a volume guy here. I think he will probably land the more volume than Tim Means in this fight. So my pick here is Staropoli, but this is extremely close. I would not bet this either way. I do think it's probably dog or pass here. I heard that Tim Means is going to try to go to his wrestling, try to go to his grappling. And I think that would be really smart here against Staropoli. And I do think he can, work that ground game for sure. So if he does that, I think, this could be a very close fight. So some things I'm interested in here are the fight goes to decision is like plus 115. There's lots of recency bias, with Tim Means' durability. Got finished by Daniel Rodriguez, got finished by Nico Price. But I don't really think Staropoli is really the one to go out there and knock him out. Staropoli doesn't have that one-punch knockout power. So I kind of like that fight goes to decision. But on the flip side, Means is a dangerous dude. Means has finished like 80% of his fights. So if Means wins, maybe it's by a submission, maybe it's by a knockout. But overall, this is a very close fight. I'm going to target both sides of it on DraftKings. Means at 7,900, he has a ton of upside. So I do like that as an underdog play. And for Staropoli, maybe Tim Means' chin is gone. Maybe he's on his way out of his career. Maybe Staropoli does get him out of there. So 8,300 is going to come with a lot of volume. I don't think that's a bad play as well. So I do like both sides of this fight. The pick Staropoli, but this is extremely close. I really can't bet either side here. But like I said, I do like that plus 115 fight goes to decision line. Might take a look at that. Staropoli plus 220 by KO. Just lots of recency bias built into the line. I wouldn't touch that. Tim Means by submission plus 675. That's something to look at there. If he does get Staropoli down, maybe he can work that ground game. Like Means has a pretty good BJJ game there. So overall, I do like this fight from a DraftKings perspective, and probably going to be a big pass from a betting perspective. It's really close to call. The value is probably on Tim Means as an underdog, though. That fight, you were correct. Staropoli and Dariush seems hard to predict. Staropoli wins by roly-poly nutcracker. Shout out Clint. You're right. Shout out Clint there. Means looked ugly on the scales. Yeah, maybe he's, on his way out. Maybe this is, one of his last fights in his career. Maybe he retires after this fight, man. Because losing to Jaynes Rodriguez is not a good look whatsoever. Losing to a guy like Nico Price, I know he has that power, but it's not a good look. Tim Means is a dirty bird. You are right. I think Staropoli finishes him. Yeah, he could. If Tim Means is really, done, if Staropoli really puts it on him, maybe he gets him out of there late. I think Julia as a dog has value. Anyone else thinking about betting her? First of all, I wouldn't bet that fight, but you're right. There is value on that play. Julia sub, we'll talk about it in a little bit. Yeah, I think Means is probably on his way out too. That's why I really couldn't pick him. But in DraftKings, we gotta target this fight because I do think it has potential of scoring pretty well. They're getting subbed round 3. All right, we're gonna get into the next fight here. We got Kevin Holland versus Joaquin Buckley. So doing tape on Buckley, like this dude is no scrub. This dude is absolutely built. He throws very, very hard. And for Holland, his clear path to victory here is the wrestling, is taking down Buckley and submitting him. If Holland does try to take him down and he gets him down, Holland's going to submit him. No questions asked there. But the thing about Holland is that shoulder injury. Somebody said to me the other day, is Holland going to wrestle with that shoulder injury? And I'm not sure. And of course, we got to mention Holland's IQ. Last week when he was fighting Giles, luckily Giles had worse IQ than him, so that's why I was all over Holland last week. But maybe Holland does, give Buckley his one path to victory, and that's standing in front of him, trying to knock him out. And Buckley does have that power. So Buckley has been knocked out once. Holland has never been knocked out. Holland has a very good chin, and that's why I do like him here. But minus 400 is way too steep for a guy like Kevin Holland, a guy you really can't trust. I would not be surprised at all if maybe Buckley even hurt Holland at some point in this fight. But Holland is a very tough guy. He has a very good chin on him. Don't really think it's likely that Buckley knocks out Holland, but some things I'm going to look at here. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 300. So it's most likely probably going to finish. I agree with that. Holland minus 145 inside the distance. That's not a bad line if you want to take a shot at that. I do like the Zalal plus 130 a little bit better, but Holland, if he wins, probably going to be early. Both these guys don't have the best gas tanks, so I think both these guys are going to try to get the other one out of there pretty early. Holland by sub plus 235, Holland by KO plus 195. Not in love with either of that. But as for DraftKings, I think Holland's a great play. But I don't know. I like Zalal a little bit better, but I will have a fair share of Holland. And as for Buckley as a punt, this guy has power. And Holland, I just have a funny feeling he's going to give Buckley the one path to victory, and that's standing with him. I feel like Holland's going to do that for some reason instead of taking Buckley down. So Buckley at 6,800, maybe he's the first one to knock out Holland, and it's going to be at low ownership because Holland's probably going to be the highest owned fighter on the whole slate. Lots of hype surrounding Holland. He's a big favorite. Just was about to fight last week. Everybody's going to be on him this week. So maybe he's not able to get Buckley out of there. Maybe he gets him out there in the third round and scores like 90 points. But I don't know. I like him as a play. Buckley 6,800, like I said, decent pump play, but don't parlay Holland. I don't think that's a good idea. He's such a big favorite. This should honestly be a little bit closer. Like Buckley's no scrub whatsoever. He actually looked pretty good on film, so I wouldn't parlay Holland, but he should win this fight. I really wouldn't feel comfortable parlaying. If anything, minus 145 inside the distance if you want to get some action on Holland. That's not a bad bet, but the minus 400 is a little bit too steep for me. Didn't Holland faint last card? No, that was Giles that fainted there. Watched another fight of Holland, and he had a shoulder injury, even bragged about fighting with one arm. Another fight, low IQ. Indeed, you are 100% correct. I don't know how people can be really confident parlaying Holland. I couldn't myself, but he should get this done. But, yeah, I don't know. Shoulder tear, doctor recommended surgery. Yeah, and what was it, last fight? He had to take, a couple weeks off, maybe like a month off to kind of, heal that shoulder injury or something like that. So, the shoulder injury is still something we got to take into consideration there. Holland wouldn't even look at Buckley during the face-off. Super disrespectful. Yeah, Holland is a disrespectful guy. He's going to talk crap to Buckley for sure in there. Parlay, Jaynes, Holtzman, Zalal, Nazarat. I wouldn't parlay it. 2 underdogs there. Buckley is jacked indeed. You know, watching tape on him, man, he looks really good, and yeah, he has some power. So I don't know. I do think it's going to be closer than the line indicates, but I do think, you know, Holland can use his reach. He has like an 8-inch reach advantage. He's a taller guy. So Holland weighed in at like 183 as well. So he didn't even weigh in at like the 186 limit. So that's pretty interesting there. Crazy how one fight completely changes the perspective of these fighters by the odds makers. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, a couple fights ago before the Hernandez fight, that was a pick 'em. And then Holland went out there in 19 seconds. First time he's ever done that. And knocked out Hernandez, and now he's a huge favorite here. Holland should never be this big of a favorite against anybody, in my opinion. Maybe a bet on Buckley there. If you were to bet it, maybe take a shot at the plus 405 KO. But the thing is, Holland's chin is so good. Don't find it hard to see Buckley winning a decision as well. If you want to take a shot on Buckley, plus 355, it's not awful, but Holland really should win this. But it's really risky fight for Holland. 8 inches is huge. You are correct. Yeah, Holland should get this done. Parlay, Holland, Zalal, Dariush, Weidman. I mean, yeah, but that's just not my style there. A 4-legger. I feel like, you know, Holland might be the one, or even Weidman might be the one to maybe mess that up. But, you know, all those are players I'm pretty confident in. All right, so we're going to get to the next fight here. We're at 26 minutes rolling through this card here. And we have Beneil Dariush and Scott Holtzman. And this closes out my 2-leg parlay here. I have Zalal and Dariush, 2 units, minus 109. So if you parlay that right now, I think you'll get like minus 111. And I like that parlay quite a bit. So Dariush, I believe, did miss weight, but he did not look bad on the scales. Dariush is minus 180 right now. So Holtzman is plus 165. So lots of money has came in on Dariush this week, and, you know, for a good reason. He is better pretty much everywhere besides the durability. And it kind of reminds me of, you know, someone we'll talk about in a little bit, Chris Weidman. But if Dariush's chin can hold up, he's going to win this fight. I even think he can take him down and maybe even find a submission on Holtzman here. We've seen Holtzman taken down by, you know, worse wrestlers than Dariush. And once Dariush gets someone on the ground, he has a very, very good BJJ game. And, you know, Holtzman has gave up his back before. So I do like Dariush quite a bit in this fight. I did parlay him there. Don't mind a straight bet on him as well. I already have 2 units invested into this play, so not going to play him straight. I have him with Zalal. I'm comfortable with that. But if you want to play him straight, that's fine. Submission plus 225. If you want to take a small shot on that, the odds are, you know, it could be a little bit wider, but that's not a bad play as well. But yeah, I like Dariush in the spot as long as his chin holds up. And the thing we got to look at here is, you know, Holtzman is, you know, kind of perceived as this, you know, big power puncher knockout guy. Holtzman has only knocked out, you know, won 36% of his fights by knockout and 14% of his wins by 50% of his wins overall, you know, finishing. So he's finishing half of his wins there. So he's not really, a huge, you know, finisher, but, you know, he does have that power. And I don't know, as long as Dariush's chin holds up, I like him a lot in this spot. So give me Dariush. As for the 9,100, it kind of sucks because they opened him up at like minus 130, minus 140, and DraftKings for some reason put him at 9,100. He should honestly be like 8,500 and 8,600 if, you know, DraftKings are basing it off the odds. So they put him at 9,100. I like Zalal better. I like Holland a little bit better. I like Haqparast better. So this is like my 4th favorite play, my least favorite play in the 9K range, but still he's a good play here. I think there's submission upside. If he can get it done early, he's gonna break the slate there, and he's going to most likely be probably the lowest owned in that 9K range. I can see Holland for sure being higher owned. I can see Zalal for sure being higher owned, and Haqparast will probably be higher owned than him as well. So if you want to get a little contrarian, Dariush 9,100, you know, not the price, a price I don't really love, but really can't complain about it. I mean, I think if he wins, he's been scoring very well. I think in 2 of his last 3 fights, he has scored over 100 points. 3 of his last 4 fights, he scored over 90 points in his wins. So, yeah, he's a fine play. But like I said, I do have that 2-leg parlay with Dariush and Zalal minus 109. I like that quite a bit. All right, hit the chat here. What's up, Mo? Yeah, me and Mo went live last night. You guys go check out his channel. We were talking about some DFS, some DraftKings, and if you guys are into DraftKings, like that's what we went over the whole time. It was a very good show there. Went for about an hour. So go check that out. It was a very good show. We went over the sheet as well, went into some stats. So if you guys play DraftKings or you just want to check it out, go check that out on Mo Scream's channel there. So, okay. Dariush by Terminator Walk KO. Yeah, he's live for a KO as well. I just remember in his last fight, while he did win by KO, Dariush was inactive in brawling stages, even though he was the more technical striker. Yeah, Holtzman could catch that chin, but I'm banking on him not. I don't know if Holtzman's the one to do that, but obviously he has the power, but hope not. I really like Dariush in the spot. What's up, Boston Nick? Anything we should parlay with Bellator tonight? Millender's a nice parlay piece, and I really haven't been able to look into that much, but Millender should win. That's all I know. Good thing Chris Weidman was wearing a mask at weigh-ins because his chin is gone. That's pretty funny there. Something I hear you say a lot, I feel it applies here. If you want Dariush at 9,100, why not go up and get Zalal? Exactly. Might as well go up and get Zalal. Might as well go up and get Holland. But if you want to be contrarian, if you want to be a little bit different, Dariush is going to be the lower owned play there. All right. So we'll get into the next fight here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in live here. About 150 people. If you all can like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed. We really appreciate that. UFC 252 next week. Going to be doing 2 giveaways. I'm going to put a nice twist on one of the giveaways as well, dealing with the Cormier and Miocic fight. So we're looking forward to that. We have a great card next week for UFC 252, a great main card. Of course, looking forward to the DC Stipe fight. Sugar Sean's fighting Rivera, so that's going to be a good fight as well. Just a lot of good matchups I'm looking forward to. Herbert Burns is on the card as well. I think he's starting off the card. So really looking forward to that UFC 252 card. I started looking into it a little bit today over the week, and I'm going to really get into it and hopefully get some of my content out a little bit earlier so we can give you guys time to participate in those contests that I'm running for next week. Give out some free money to say thank you for all the support there. But up next, we have the people's main event, the fight we are all looking forward to see. Yana Kunitskaya versus, we'll call her Julia Stoliarenko. So Yana Kunitskaya, she was like minus 225 yesterday, I believe. So some money has come in on Julia Stoliarenko here. She's now a plus 170 underdog. And we'll talk about the DraftKings aspect of it first. So this is a fight, believe it or not, I want to target this on DraftKings. The women's MMA fights, we saw it last week with Maya, optimal lineup. We saw it, the girl that beat McCann, she was on the optimal lineup. Jojua against Belbita, she was on the optimal lineup. So another thing is, it seems like these women's MMA fighters, first of all, something crazy happens. And second of all, they end up on the optimal lineup. And the thing about the women's MMA is, Maya was like 10% last week, 11% last week. Nobody played her. And that's going to be the same thing here. Nobody's going to play this fight. It's women's MMA. It's going to be low owned. And I like targeting this fight from both sides here. So Yana Kunitskaya, she comes with a lot of volume, about 5 strikes per minute. She does have some knockout power as well. Take a look at the finish stats here. So Kunitskaya has finished 64% of her fights. Overall, 58% by knockout. The Stoliarenko girl, she's a tough girl, but she's been knocked out twice. And Stoliarenko has, most of her wins by submission. 90% of her wins by submission. I think like 8 of 9 being by armbar. And you're going to tell me armbar and women's MMA in the same sentence, and we're getting her at 7,400. I think there's some value there because, what Kunitskaya does is she does go for takedowns in pretty much all her fights. She lands, we'll take a look at it here. Kunitskaya lands 3.14 takedowns per 15 minutes. And if she goes for takedowns here, that's Stoliarenko's path to victory. And honestly, Stoliarenko's not bad on the feet as well. She's a very tough girl. Obviously, I give the edge to Kunitskaya with the volume and probably the better striker there, but maybe Stoliarenko pulls guard. Maybe Kunitskaya takes her down for some reason. This fight kind of reminds me of the Jojua and Belbita fight, where all Belbita had to do was stand up with Jojua. And what did Belbita do in the first minute? She took down Jojua. And what happened after that? Submitted. So I'm kind of getting that vibe here. Every time I close my eyes and think about this fight, I see Stoliarenko some way pulling off this upset by a submission, probably an armbar. So 7,400 on DraftKings. I like that quite a bit. I think there's some upside there as well. But for Kunitskaya, nobody's going to play her at 8,800. And for that reason, I am interested because she is probably the better fighter here. She should win this fight. And, Stoliarenko has been knocked out before, and Kunitskaya does have some solid power. So overall, it's going to be a low-owned fight. Overall, I do want to target this fight, and probably going to be double the ownership on both fighters. I haven't done my ownership projections yet, but I'm assuming, Kunitskaya is going to be like 15% owned. Stoliarenko is probably going to be 15, 20% owned, so there's going to be some low ownership in that. But, yeah, I do like this fight quite a bit. As for a bet, don't play Kunitskaya at minus 185. Don't put her in a parlay. Don't do that. It's just she should win, but there's always that, it's women's MMA. I wouldn't play her as a big favorite. I think this should be closer to, Kunitskaya minus 150, Kunitskaya minus 140. But if you want to take a shot, I might as well play the underdog at plus 170 because this fight is probably going to be close. And Stoliarenko has a couple paths to victory here. Stoliarenko by submission. The odds makers are all over that, plus 320. Not the best number in the world, but if she wins, it's probably by submission. So if you want to take a shot at the plus 320, it's not a bad play. Personally, I am staying away from it 100%, but I will load up on DraftKings because I do think it can score well, and it can score well at low ownership. And would not be surprised one bit if this fight is optimal one way or another. All right. Julia isn't as bad on the feet as people think. If she gets it down a couple times, I could sway her. Yeah, she's not awful on the feet. You're 100% correct. High volume from Julia. Yeah, she has some decent volume, but Kunitskaya does land like close to 6 strikes per minute. What a boof on the beat. Thank you there. Goes the distance. No, actually, I'm glad you say that. I think this has a chance to finish inside the distance. So the plus 135, fight doesn't go to decision, is something I'm looking at because Kunitskaya, she can get a knockout. Stoliarenko, she can get a knockout. She can get a submission. So, I think this fight has a potential to finish. So, no, I wouldn't play the goes to decision there. I'd lean with the fight doesn't go to decision. Fade this fight for parlay or add in the underdog. Most likely just probably fade this fight would be the smart thing. In general, I like playing the 50-50s, so you would still recommend going for the optimal or just trying to get 6 wins. I generally like playing the recommend. Not sure I understand that question, but whoever wins this fight has a potential to be on the optimal lineup. Yes, sir. No more parlays there. That's smart there. Yeah, I'm not impressed in it. I don't know. Like this opened up with Yana being a slight favorite, but people jumped on that. Not sure why. I guess there was some value in it, and then jumped up to like a minus 200, minus 225 favorite. Now it's back down a little bit. You can see it getting even closer by fight time. People taking shots on Stoliarenko. Don't hate that. But we're going to get into the next fight here, and this is my pick for fight of the night. I really like this fight, Darren Stewart versus Maki Pitolo. I think this is going to be an absolute war. And this fight is another fight that's extremely hard to call to pick a winner here. I think Pitolo is the better fighter here overall. It's just, I don't know if I like this stylistic matchup for him. Stewart is someone who has a very good chin. And I do want to get into the numbers a little bit on this fight. So taking a look at the numbers here, Stewart does land 2.67 significant strikes per minute. So not much volume there compared to Pitolo's 3.21. And in Pitolo's fights, he does throw a lot of volume out there. Stewart's has a 63% takedown defense. He gets taken down so many times. Pitolo doesn't have the best wrestling. But what I think is going to happen is this is going to be a very close fight, back and forth. Stewart probably lands the harder shots. Pitolo probably lands the more volume. And then maybe Pitolo shooting for takedowns, trying to seal off the rounds. I think he can get down Stewart. I really do. On the flip side of things, I think Stewart can get down Pitolo as well. But I don't know if Stewart really wants to do that. Pitolo has a pretty good submission game as well. Stewart has been submitted twice. But overall, I'm leaning Pitolo just with the volume. I think he's the better fighter overall. I think he can get takedowns. Not so sure he can hold down Stewart, but I do think he gets takedowns. And a lot of people are talking about Pitolo's fight with Potter. He looked awful. Yeah, he did. That's embarrassing. That was at 170. He moved up to 185 against Charles Byrd, and he looked fantastic. Coming into the second round, he was fresh. He was ready to go, and his cardio looked improved. Like in the Potter fight, he was tired after the first minute and a half, 2 minutes. So he did improve that cardio. It looked like, I'm assuming he'll bet off of that, and I do like Pitolo to win. As for DraftKings, both sides here are good plays. Stewart has knockout potential. He is a finisher. We'll take a look at the finish stats for both these guys here. Stewart has won 64% of his fights by knockout. Pitolo has won 54% of his fights by knockout. Pitolo has a 77% finish rate overall. So I do think there is potential for either guy to get a knockout in this fight. I do think Pitolo is going to knock him out, be the first one to knock out Stewart. And so betting this fight, so Pitolo was like a Pitolo was like a plus 150, plus 160 underdog a couple days ago. He's now down to plus 135. So lots of money is coming in on Pitolo, and I can see why. It should be a line closer to a pick'em. But I'm probably going to stay away, just enjoy the fight, load up on DraftKings. I think someone's going to get finished one way or another. Honestly, can see Pitolo winning a decision as well. But yeah, the pick's Pitolo. No bet for me. Don't hate the shots on Pitolo inside the distance. Don't hate a shot on Stewart inside the distance. I think this is going to be – it's my pick for fight of the night. I think it's going to be a fun fight. But DraftKings, it's probably my second favorite fight that I'm really intrigued in having a lot of ownership in. All right, DFS, maybe you can build a sample lineup once for the DFS. Yeah, I could. I do that on my Patreon every week, though. Stewart has been on a strict diet of wow. I don't know how to reply to that. Pitolo looked good today at the face-offs. He did. He looked good. He looked ready to go. I don't know, 185. He looks good there, so we'll have to see. Pitolo looked good in his first fight at 185. He could be making a Gilbert Burns type move. Pitolo and his lackadaisical defense and cardio scares me. He leaves himself open for a KO. Yeah, but he is a tough guy, believe it or not. He was taking flush KO shots from what's his name, Potter. He was fighting with his hands down. I'm assuming that's because he wasn't confident. He was confident his chin will hold up against the guy in Potter, and I understand that. But yeah, he needs to play some defense there, get his hands up, because Stewart does hit hard there. And as for his cardio, like I mentioned in his last fight, it looked a lot better. So yeah, I don't know why I'm leaning to Darren. Yeah, I see a lot of people on him. Darren Stewart got to like minus 190 at one point, which I just thought was crazy. But the line is coming down a little bit. This is really a 50-50 fight for me. But I do know I want this on DraftKings. Under 1.5 is plus 137. I don't hate it. Probably going to stay away from that, though, because Stewart has never been knocked out. Pitolo is a tough guy himself. Maybe this goes into the later rounds, and their cardio, both of them, their cardio is going to be tested in this fight. So we'll see who's the fresher guy coming in that, second, third round there. So we're at 43 minutes here, going to go about another 25 minutes here. We have 2 fights left. We're getting into the co-main event, and this is my final bet on the card. And, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, because I might add a couple more things maybe after the live stream tonight on Odds HQ. Because I am close to betting a couple of different things. I'm looking at a couple of different things, but I have 4 bets right now, and this is my final one. I have Chris Weidman. I got him at, let's see here, Chris Weidman, minus 130 for 1.5 units. It was going to be a 2.5 unit play. It ended up going 1.5. I might add more, but, that chin really concerns me, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but I wanted to bet him at minus 110, but at that point, I was still doing my tape study. I don't bet anything before I get my tape study done. I got everything done, and, Weidman was like a minus 145 favorite. So I waited a little bit, was hoping it came down a little bit. I saw 130. I had to hop on them. And the thing is, I like Weidman everywhere in this fight. I think he's the better fighter in every single aspect of this fight. Besides the durability, he's been finished in 5 out of his last 6 fights. His chin is a big issue. He's getting up there in age. He's 36 years old. But if his chin holds up, if he fights smart, sticks to the outside, he has about a 5-inch reach advantage, he's going to win this fight. I mean, even go in and get takedowns. I've seen Akhmedov taken down before, and people forget, Weidman's a extremely good wrestler. So I do like him to win this fight. 1.5 units. Almost went 2.5, but I kind of got, talked down a little bit. But man, if his chin holds up, he's going to win this fight. So as for DraftKings, 8,000. I mean, that's amazing. Like 8,000 for Chris Weidman. When he wins, I know it hasn't been often, but when he wins, he scores very, very well. So he honestly is probably one of my favorite plays on the slate, because if he wins, he's going to be optimal at 8,000. I don't see him not being optimal. As for Akhmedov, 8,200. If he wins, it's going to be my knockout. So as for, taking a look at some of the props here, fight doesn't go to decision, -135. Don't really like that. I can see Weidman winning decision. Weidman instead of the distance, +270. Akhmedov by knockout, +210. If you're on Akhmedov, maybe take the +210 there. Weidman by submission, +465, something I'm looking at. Weidman by decision. So, yeah, I do like Weidman to win this fight. I think the line's going to probably get wider and wider as the fight goes on. I thought it might close up a bit, but, it got down to 130 and shot right back up to like -135. It's been, fluctuating around like -140, -135. I can see it getting to like -150 by fight time. And I agree with that. I think he's the better fighter by a good margin. It's just the chin. That's why I am taking kind of a small stab, 1.5 units, nothing crazy. Almost made it my biggest play of the night, but I already bet 2 units on a chinny Dariush. I don't want to risk that much on these chinny fighters, but they should win. They really should win this fight. So give me Chris Weidman to win by probably decision, maybe a submission upside as well. But I do like that a lot. In DraftKings, this is going to be my highest owned fight to target on DraftKings there. Chris Weidman by decision, +200. Weidman has 38 takedowns in his UFC career and has only been taken down 4 times. Yeah, if someone gets taken down, it's going to be Akhmedov. I mean, Akhmedov maybe might be able to take him down. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he wants to do that anyway. How do you like Weidman, Pitolo, Zalal as a parlay? When I parlay, I like to be kind of safe. So I did Zalal, Dariush. Don't really like the idea of parlaying underdogs because they're already underdog. They already have a lot of value there. You might as well, if you want to bet Pitolo, you might as well do it straight. Weidman, you're able to bet him straight. But if you want to do a parlay, I mean, I don't hate it. It could be a case like Brunson where he only loses to the elite of the UFC. Could be. And I don't really think Akhmedov's the elite of the UFC. This is obviously his easiest task by far in the past couple of years. I mean, it's not an easy task, but it's his easiest task. You know what I mean? You're going to be sweating the Weidman bet. Yes, I am. And it seems like a lot of people are 50-50 on this fight. And, for a good reason. Either Weidman's going to look very good in this fight, or he's going to get knocked out. And I'm leaning towards Weidman's going to look very good here. Let's see here. Akhmedov has 23 career takedowns, has only given up 10. Weidman will be winning the fight entirely, and so he doesn't. That could be true, but watching tape on Akhmedov, like he looks tired. He looks tired in that first round, and then it seems like he tries to win that first round, win that second round, and kind of coasts in that third. I see Weidman not letting him do that. Weidman's going to probably look very good. You're right, but if he does get knocked out, it could happen. But I'm banking on his chin holding up. Akhmedov doesn't have a knockout since like 2014. I know we can't really look at that too much, but he doesn't have a knockout for a while there. Really like Weidman here. He just scares me from a betting perspective, even though he's better everywhere. But I had to take a shot. I had to. He's better everywhere. If his chin fails, He's, I think he should retire at that point. But I'm as comfortable as can be with that bet there. What do you think of this parlay? Nazareth Jaynes means Turman. Keep up the great work, man. Personally, I don't like it because I am picking Turman to lose. And if you do like Jaynes, if you do like Means, I just play him straight. There's a lot of value on both those lines there. All right, so it's time for the main event of the evening, and what a weird fight we have here. This fight is extremely weird in so many ways. So Lewis opened up as like a -190 favorite, and now Lewis is -180. So the line is coming down a lot, and man, I could even see it coming down a little bit more. This fight to me is about as 50-50 as you can get. And just to simplify it here, like either Lewis is going to get a knockout or Oleinik's going to get a submission. I mean, I don't really think anybody can, argue that. Back and forth on this. After watching tape, I've seen Lewis taken down so many times. Like He has a 53% takedown defense. He gets taken down very easy. Doesn't matter by who. He gets taken down, and he's content being on his back. So what Lewis does when he gets taken down is he lays there for a minute and a half, gains some stamina back. You can't do that against Alexei Oleinik. As soon as Oleinik takes him down, Oleinik's going to be into mount, into side control in a couple seconds. Lewis invites people into mount. He invites them into mount. He invites them into side control. He invites them to work a submission. And whenever Lewis wants to do it, he jumps up. But can you do that against someone as high level in BJJ as Alexei Oleinik? Can you let him get you in a deep submission? Can you let him get you into mount, get into side control? Probably not. I mean, if you think about it, like Lewis has never fought someone with the submission credentials as Alexei Oleinik. Oleinik with 40, 45 submissions on his record, and Lewis will probably give him what he wants. Like Lewis will probably get taken down in this fight, and that's why I'm picking Oleinik, because I do think he gets him down. And when he does, Lewis is going to rest there, and while he's resting, Oleinik's not going to be resting. Oleinik's going to be working for that submission. But of course, the flip side of things, Lewis could buck him off of him, push him off, jump up, and then he goes on these flurries. He goes on these 10-second flurries where he throws about 10 strikes in like 10 seconds. And I'm not so sure Oleinik can survive that flurry there. And he does that like once a round probably. And the thing about Lewis is, from a DraftKings perspective, getting into that, he's scored like 90 points, I think over the 90 points like one time. I think his most significant strikes is like 50 something significant strikes, like 53 in a fight. So he's not doing much. Lewis is someone who's content with just throwing 2 strikes a minute, and then going on these big flurries once a round. In the Francis Ngannou fight, he scored 40 DraftKings points. There's another fight, I forget who he fought, but he scored 40 DraftKings points. This is someone who, to hit value here at 8,700, he's going to need a first-round finish, and he hasn't done that in the DraftKings era. So I'm going to be underweight to Lewis on DraftKings. He will probably have some ownership. I don't think he's going to be overly owned this week because people know like this dude does not score on DraftKings. He just doesn't. So I think it's going to come in around 35%, between the 35% 40% range, and I could see Oleinik being just as high owned, maybe even more owned, like 35% 40% owned for Oleinik there, because I think people are going to be smart enough to know like Lewis does not score well. He's going to need a first round knockout, and that's just not something he's done in the DraftKings era. I think his last first round knockout was in, I want to say 2014, but nowadays he's taken his time. He's taken his time in getting finishes later in the fight, and he very well could do that. But on DraftKings, I don't love it at all. So I'm going to be very low owned to Lewis. I'm going to take a stand and not fade him, because there is a chance he goes and gets a knockout. There is a chance for sure. But maybe go 20%, 15% lower owned on the field. As for Oleinik, he could get knocked out in the third round, or he could get a first round submission. I think the play here is Oleinik 7,500. I think that's a fantastic play. I'll probably have 35%, 40%. And if you want to fade this main event, no shame in that at all. Like in single entries, if you want to take a stand and fade this main event in single entries, in single, it's probably going to be like 80% owned overall, maybe more than that. So you could get a kind of edge if Lewis does get a third round knockout, fourth round knockout, scores 55-60. That you can definitely make a case for fading it. So I'll probably be about 55-60% owned on the main event. And, the main event's typically something that people want to target. But in this case, it can very well bust. Terrible value for Lewis on DraftKings, I think, for sure there. If you're talking about Oleinik, Oleinik, he's smart enough to know what he needs to do. Oleinik is a bad matchup for Lewis. Lewis has been taken down 38 times. He's been taken down so many times, man. And, people kind of, hate on Oleinik's takedowns and all that, but he's a strong dude, and I do think he can get, he can get Lewis down. Yeah, I mean, guys, parlays aren't the smartest things in the world, especially on a card like this. Really, if I do a parlay, it's mostly a 2-legger of 2 guys I really like. I very rarely go out and do these 3-leg, 4-leg parlays because 60, 70, 80% of the time, they're not going to work out. So, like I said, I have Dariush and Zalal. I'm comfortable with those two guys. Vegas was built on parlays. Less legs, the better. You are correct there. 88% Oleinik sub and 90% Lewis on Topology. Yeah, this is not going to decision there. This card sucks. Last week, yeah. Can't wait for the next week. Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm excited for UFC 52. Not to look past this card because I'm a freak. I like this card. I'm a diehard MMA fan, all that. So I do think this card's pretty good. But for the people that don't really like MMA or you're not really into it, like, this card sucks. Yeah, you're right. Oleinik by sub all day. Boston Nick, Lewis knocks his head off his shoulders. That very well could happen. I think 50-50 here. Either Lewis does knock his head off or Oleinik gets a submission there. Do a Hail Mary parlay. I remember 2 weeks ago I did this Hail Mary parlay. I think 8 legs and it hit. That was crazy. It might have something like that for UFC 252. I don't know. Does Oleinik have any chance to win by decision, or is the most? If anybody wins by decision, I don't know. I guess Lewis, but this -700 fight doesn't go to decision. It's going to finish here. I mean, both the guys don't have the cardio to go 5 rounds. Lewis weight and that's why I'm not betting this fight. So Lewis is 265. Oleinik, first of all, he looked good on the scales. Oleinik looked great, but when you're at a big weight disadvantage, I don't know how I feel about that. So I was looking at the Oleinik plus 205 for a submission. If I was to play it, it would be that, but probably going to be pass. And I know it sucks passing on the main event, but I don't want to take that risk of 50-50 fight, Lewis knocking him out, because I can very well see that happening. So I'm probably going to stay away from the main event on this card. But I'll tell you guys right now, UFC 252, I will have a play on the main event, and I'll talk about it next week. Was able to get into some tape for that, and I do see someone I like in that main event. I'm not going to give that away, so tune in next week for that. So we are at 57 minutes. Now, as always, going to do a recap of my bets, and then my most confident picks, and then some underdogs I like as well. And then I'll get into some questions for the last 10 minutes there. Then I got to get out of here. Still got to eat some dinner. It's about 8 o'clock. Getting kind of hungry. But Weidman, -130, 1.5 unit play. Like I said, I was tempted to go 2.5, but the chin, man, just kind of swayed me off a little bit. But I do think he wins. I think he's a better fighter. Sanchez +130, 1 unit there. Yeah, I like him to win. I think it's a great stylistic matchup for him. I think he stuffs the takedowns, keeps us on the feet, wins those first 2 rounds. Third round's going to be iffy, but I think he pulls it off. Like the dog money there. And then Dariush Zalal, 2-leg parlay -109, 2 units there. I like that quite a bit. Could have got it at plus money if I did it 4 or 5 days ago, but got my tape study done a little bit later than I'd like to this week. So that's a good parlay there. If you guys are looking for a parlay, I think that should hit as long as Dariush's chin holds up. And then Zalal inside the distance, getting some more money on Zalal there. +130. You're getting so much value in that, and I do think he finishes them. If you want to look at the submission as well, you can. But now I'm going to go over my most confident picks. And honestly, this is a card where there aren't many, quote, locks on the card. There's really not. Weidman, he's kind of a confident pick for me, but that chin. Dariush is one of my most confident plays. I think he's better everywhere as long as that chin holds up. Holland, confident in a way, but I do think it should be lying closer. Haqparast, pretty confident in that. And then Zalal, pretty confident in that. Zalal's my most confident play. I do think he finishes the fight and going to load up on Draftkings. Hopefully he gets a submission there. I really do. Hopefully he gets that submission. And then looking at underdogs here, whether it's on Draftkings, I'm going to take a shot for a bet. Justin Jaynes +105. I would have loved to bet him at +170. Man, missed out on that. So just going to pass there. As for Draftkings, 7,800. I like it. Andrew Sanchez, I think he's a fine bet. I think there's value. I think he should probably be the favorite. Like, I'm struggling to see a path to victory for Turman. And then on Draftkings, not going to have too much, but I do think he wins, scores like 75, 80 points. Tim Means, this is a 50-50 fight. If Tim Means goes to that wrestling, he's live for sure. Like, don't fade this guy on Draftkings just because he hasn't been looking too good. He's Tim Means. He's a great fighter, but he could be on his way out. Not going to bet that. Not going to bet Tim Means. That wouldn't be smart, but I do like him on Draftkings. Buckley has a punt. He has some power. Holland, bad IQ. Don't be surprised if Buckley gets him out of there at 7% ownership. Holtzman, as a punt, he has the power. Dariush is chinny. You can go that way. And then Stoliarenko, I don't know. I'm going to have a decent amount of her. I don't know how I feel about it, but I do like her on DraftKings. Not going to bet it, but I think it's a fine DraftKings play. Pitolo was going to bet it. He was like plus 150. Would have liked to get that. Probably gonna pass there. And then Akhmedov, of course, is a great underdog play. If he gets the win, it's going to be by knockout. And then Oleinik is a fine play as well. I'd recommend probably just betting him by submission, plus 205. So thank you guys for hanging out. We're going to go take about 5 more minutes to answer any final questions you guys have. Next week's card is looking so good for DFS. Yes, I'm going to go all out on this card. We're looking forward to it there. This card is honestly tough for DraftKings, but it's still something I'm looking for. Holland or Zalal in a DK lineup. Well, for cash, I'm going both of them. If I had to pick one, it would be Zalal there. For ownership reasons, I think he'll be lower owned, and I do think he gets the finish. Holtzman is a punt. Yep. I feel like Al-Qaisi is a good value pick. Oh, yeah, I didn't mention Al-Qaisi. Yeah. Al-Qaisi is a fine underdog play, especially on DraftKings, 7,300 if he does get those takedowns. I could see him winning a close decision there. Buckley is a punt. Desperate. Yeah, I mean, I will have a little bit just in case Holland comes out here and, fights with his hands down, because Buckley is no joke, but Holland should get it done. Is Jaynes 0.5 unit bet with a 0.25 unit KO pet of good play, or just pass on it? I don't hate that. I would have liked to get the line a little bit, earlier, but, that's fine. Thank you, MMA KO. Go check him out. He puts a lot of good stuff on his channel there. What's the best 3 fighter parlay? Dariush, Zalal, and Haqparast is something I would do. 2,200 remaining on the optimal last week on an 8-fight card. Like what? Like last week was crazy. 8 fights. The winner of the whole tournament, the big one, was shared, I think, just by himself. I think he got it by himself there, so that's pretty crazy there. Fun parlay: Weidman, Holland, Zalal, Dariush, and Lewis versus Oleinik inside the distance. Yeah, that sounds pretty fun to me until Weidman gets knocked out or something. But yeah, it sounds good to me. Is there anything happened at weigh-ins? No. So Tim Means and Staropoli missed weight. I guess Tim Means went back and was able to make weight. Other than that, Dariush missed weight by 3 pounds, but he looked fine. Thank you, Ron, for hanging out. Dariush to win under 2.5. Jaynes, Tucker's allow by finish under 2.5. Under 2.5. Haqparast, Munoz. I guess. I mean, it sounds good to me, but where did you make the Hail Mary parlay? DK. Yeah, I did it on the DraftKings Sportbook. No problem. MMA KO. Dariush to win. I already talked about that. You ever been in a fight, Brady? Not yet. Maybe one day, but might have to get in a fight with Chris Weidman if he makes me lose some more money here. Just kidding, but yeah, that's about it, guys. Here, like I said, 4 bets going to be posting. The rest of them on Twitter, Instagram, even Instagram DFS by the numbers, and Twitter DFS_numbers going to be posting my bets on there. Go follow me on there. My DMs are always open to answer any questions about any of that. And with that said, thank you guys for hanging out. About an hour and 3 minutes. Next week will probably be longer because we'll all be a lot more interested in next week's card compared to this one. Next week's card is going to be amazing. Brady versus Weidman. Brady minus 225 is the opener on that. Get it while it's hot. Can't wait for gambling to be legal in all states. Thanks, DFS. Yeah, me too. Me too for sure. Appreciate you. Keep up the good work. Post at Patreon. Yeah, I got you. Going to be doing my article on Patreon. Going to be doing that after I get off the live stream on Odds HQ tonight. And going to be doing the premium breakdown video as well. So if you guys want to check that out, I know a lot of you guys have signed up at the beginning of the month, and that's smart because you get 4 cards for either $5 or $10, depending on what package you get. Lots of value there. Fight Gustafsson. Might have to take him down and, get him in an armbar or something there. But with that said, good luck, guys, to all of you guys. Really appreciate that a ton. Everybody hanging out. And then good luck on your bets. Follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. And, like, subscribe. Working my way up to 6,000 subs. Any subscribe helps. And good luck, guys, tomorrow.